back, man. Look at my hair this morning. It's a mess, y'all.
Hmm.
I wanted to try an episode without the bandana, but I might have needed a haircut first, Alex.
Yeah, that's all right. I don't think the folks at home mind.
Not today, because we professionals. Episode 7, guys. Welcome back. It's Mark and Alex of the Smarter High here at ScyFli Smoke Shop.
What's up? What's up?
We are glad to have you back after our last episode, the Dabisode.
That dabisode.
Alex, I'm glad you made it, bro.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were gonna make it.
I coughed, but you know what? It was good after that. It was good. We pushed through the coughs. Yeah.
We got high, guys,
Yeah.
and it was fun. It was fun. So we will have more hijinks like that coming in the future here as we develop the show. So what are we doing today? What is the plan for today? Well, today we're going to kind of do a more random episode, although it's not completely random. I have a plan. But we wanted to do what I'm going to call a best practices and tips episode, right? We're going to go over kind of just some of the knowledge that I've gleaned from repeatedly having to help people with different problems in the industry or the shop here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it. So I picked about 8 topics that we might get to all of them. The way I ramble, probably not likely, but we'll
get
see.
through there. I'm excited for the best practices episode. I love questions like this. Like, what's the difference between that, this one or that one? And you'll see, how we do it. But one thing that's great about ScyFli is it's not just a smoke shop. Come in and just they're like, okay, like here's the glass and here's the whatever. Like, no, they'll educate you about this stuff, and you can ask these questions and trust that you're getting a good answer. So I'm excited for this episode. It should be
I try.
one for what we do. Yeah.
I try. I mean, my day is boring if I don't engage every single customer. So some of them like it, some of them don't. But
Right.
how's your last 2 weeks been?
My last 2 weeks have been good. I had a couple shows. They've been going good. I've been getting lucky and having good ones in a row. So that's good. I'm due for a year soon, just statistically. But last night I had a great show out on like the main line at City Ave in Philly.
Look at him, guys.
Stiletto of Baltimore was the headliner, and I got to go right before her. I did my thing. I did about 14 minutes, but she came out after me and killed the room for 45 minutes in a row. No breaks, no breath.
Wow.
Yeah,
You warmed it up.
I did put her in good position. I had a good set last night for sure.
I continue to be proud of Alex, guys, because it's so difficult. It's so difficult to make people laugh consistently. So
I should say too, that one was a paid show. They are not all paid.
They
shows.
paid him.
I know it looks glamorous, you know what I mean, online. Sometimes they pay $20, but this one was a good paid show and stuff. So I love getting those. You know what I mean? It's like it's very
getting money for your work is how you
very
do
much
it.
validating. Yeah, for sure. So I love that.
Nice, dude. Nice. All right. Oh, did I click something? What did I click? I did click that. Sorry about that, guys. That's for a little later. So we're going to start out the show with there was an article in the Atlantic that I wanted to discuss
I
this
like the
week.
Atlantic.
Yeah, the Atlantic's not bad. It's not bad. You got to keep a variety of sources for your news, man. That's how you stay well-rounded. You got to get all the angles. But this article was about the accidental legalization of weed in America, which at around 2018 is when this happened. And I don't know if you've been to a smoke shop recently, but they all have THC products on the shelves.
Yeah.
And you don't have a traditional dispensary license. None of these smoke shops that are selling these products do, because of the little loophole that was created to allow us to do this. So
You're talking about like Delta 8 and Delta 9 and those type of things.
yes, Delta 8, Delta 9, THCA, THCP,
Yeah, TTP.
THCO. They got a whole
XYZ.
alphabet of THCs now.
Yeah.
THCX, not even playing. It's a thing. Half of these cannabinoids I can't identify. Like, a new one comes out that says THCX. I'm going online. At best, you're getting like topical knowledge. It's a THC molecule. It doesn't tell you what it does or anything, because these THCs are chemically reproduced, guys, right? There's not enough THC in hemp to get high, but if you chemically manipulate the plant, you're able to create as much or as little THC as you want.
Wow. I've always had so many I guess we'll go through this and then get into it, but yeah.
No, ask questions as we go along. So, guys, the particular piece of legislation that led to this free-for-all that we're currently in is called the 2018 Farm Bill. It's actually now formally an Agricultural Improvement Act of 2008. So the purpose of this act was to allow for the proliferation and use of hemp in industry, right? Hemp is actually a very versatile plant, Alex. You can make building materials with it. You can make containers with it. It acts a lot like plastic. That's why you see, there's something out there called hemp plastic.
They make clothes and ropes
Yep.
and wheels. And,
Yep.
Yeah.
It makes all kinds of things. So in 2018, the powers that be, which this would be the people in Congress, thought they were just legalizing hemp for industrial use, right? So they put in everything with hemp is legal. There were no restrictions, right? Now, there's very few people in the industry, or not the industry, very few people in Congress knew what was capable with hemp before they signed this bill, which is why you got an age limits, right? If you over 65, just leave it to the young people. You know what's going on right now. It's just old people, guys. And they're not even, they just don't seem that connected to us and the world we live in today. So Mark 2028 platform is no over 65. Okay, I will walk away gracefully at 65 because I got other stuff to do. I don't know why I'm trying to be here telling these young people what to do. Let them take care of it. Anyway, neither here nor there. So when they legalized this bill in 2018, the first cannabinoids you saw on the street were Delta 8, right? And at that time, Delta 8 was clearly not as potent as, marijuana at a regular dispensary. The potency, the potency just wasn't there. So people called it weed light, marijuana light. It was kind of marketed as a way to use marijuana, but not in the more potent manner that is in legal dispensaries today. That's how it started.
Yeah.
But there was much more to come than just Delta 8s, because what you can do with these plants is you can isolate all of the THC molecules, which there happens to be a ton of cannabinoids in hemp. It's not just THC and CBD. There are variations of THC molecules, and that's how you get THCP and X and all this. It's basically a slight addition or subtraction of molecules in the molecular structure. So by adding, a carbon molecule here, you turn Delta 8 into, Delta 10, and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. It's chemical manipulation, right?
Okay.
Now, chemical manipulation sounds dangerous, right? It sounds like you're smoking something artificial. Technically, it is artificial. Doesn't have to be dangerous, but there are no restrictions or regulations on how these THC molecules are created, how they're transport. There's no regulation, right? So there are a few states that have kind of banned Delta 8 or banned THC analogs, which is kind of what the proper name is, THC analogs. So with that and having it kind of proliferate as it's everywhere, the party's almost over, right? Now that they've known what they've unleashed, they're eventually going to either state by state make this stuff illegal or put more controls on it. Because I have products on my shelf that say like 9,000 milligrams on the bottom. It's crazy.
I've seen that. Yeah.
9,000 milligrams because, for instance, Jersey's legal market has a 100 milligram limit on the amount of THC in any individual product. So if you buy a tin of gummies at the Jersey dispensary, the maximum is 100.
Gotcha. So that's why there's 10 and they're each. That's why there's whatever and they're each 5. 20.
Here, with no regulation, I had it's at 300 milligram gummies. That's one of the products. It's crazy, and this shit works, man. It works. It's potent. It works, but the party's almost over. All right. So what they did to kind of get over the Delta 8 light weed kind of thing is they started combining all these molecules, right? So instead of Delta 8, they mixed it with THCP and THCO, and by combining these molecules, you get an effect called the entourage effect. And the entourage effect, in short, is basically a rule that says the more cannabinoids you combine, the better they work together, right? So instead of one molecule, you have several different THC molecules. The effect is increased. You get higher, you get faster, right? But because of that, and because of people kind of stuffing so many molecules and different chemicals in these products, you're getting to the point where people are not being careful. Right. And I've even seen articles where people have something that's supposed to be a THC product. You're starting to see other molecules and chemicals in some of these things.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's because people, just like any other game, they want to make it cheaper. So they start adding stuff that's not necessarily THC, but more cost effective. Right.
They start cutting and stepping on it, and
If you know it, exactly. Alex and I would. This is just cutting shit, right? Cutting coke, cutting heroin. This is the same thing. You're cutting your delta 8 or whatever molecule is to make it more heavy. So you can hurt yourself. Like a lot of these gas stations where they have whatever products, penis pills, sex pills, or whatever. They also got the delta 8 stuff in there, and it's not. They haven't checked that this stuff is okay. They're not necessarily getting it from a source that guarantees that this is THC and there's nothing else.
Or the sex pills either, from what I understand. I've heard they're terrible for you, or people go to the hospital, or once you take it, you need it every time or something. Like,
if you've seen this kind of honey in gas stations, I forget, it's something honey, right? And it's basically gas station drugs. But in this specific one, it's supposed to be an aphrodisiac, right? But I was doing some research on this honey, this sex honey, that it is Cialis.
Okay, wow.
It is Cialis. So Cialis is, what people use for legal sex pills, or, it helps your stuff. You know what I mean, guys?
Erectile dysfunction.
There it is. The erectile dysfunction. I could not figure out the word, but this drug is meant for that, right? And they put it in a gas station honey kind of sex pill. Cialis is a vasodilator, right? Which means it opens up your veins and your arteries and helps blood flow easier,
including those located in your penis.
Exactly.
No, yeah, but it was originally like a blood a blood pressure something or other.
But anything that does something like a vasodilator, that affects the heart, right, which means you can kill yourself with a heart attack. So guys, be very careful when you're looking for these legal highs in a gas station. I'd avoid it altogether.
The gas station thing in general is a little dicey, because they have no skin in the game. Like, yes.
And you've heard stories of people getting sick, going to the hospital. That is all because of the random stuff they've pumped into these gas station drugs. So you got to be careful. But that is basically how we accidentally legalize THC. Because even in states where there are strict laws still, Texas, for example, the THC market is alive and well. It's everywhere. Texas, I have never seen more smoke shops in my life than the time I lived in Texas for HV. They're on every corner.
Wow.
Every corner.
They're popping up here pretty much everywhere, everywhere you look. But.
Oh, yeah. Now we're at a spot where I have several people around me of these gas station spots, and the difference is the experience and level of care,
right,
that you get at one of these places.
A lot, which is actually vast. Like the difference between that, I remember thinking like, oh, okay, well, what's the difference? I want a glass pipe and it's whatever. But it is like you can get sick and they don't care about you, and quality of products and stuff like that. Yeah.
So with this, the party's almost up. The Farm Bill is supposed to be reauthorized or signed about every 6 years. Okay. So 2018, 2019, 2020, 2024, 6 years. So guys, don't be surprised if within the next 6 months, this stuff is all gone. I know specifically in New Jersey, they just had a bill come out of committee that specifically eliminates all of these THC analogs. Okay. Wow. And I forgot to say this. The thing about the THC analogs in flour, for example, is you can't tell which is which. In the beginning, you could say clearly this is Delta 8 and this is real weed.
Right, yes. Real weed is being the distinction. Yeah, right.
But the point we're at now is that the production has gotten so far advanced that you can't tell.
Okay.
You can't tell which is which. You would have to get in here and on a chemical level test each of these products to kind of see which one is actual marijuana and which one is THCA or whatever THC analog you're dealing with. That's the problem. All right. Because a lot of these legal dispensaries in Jersey, this is getting into their pocket. right? All of these smoke shops with all this, it's getting into legal smoke shops or legal dispensaries pocket, which is a great reason for them to want to get rid of it.
Right, and they just started that whole industry and set it all up where it's the way it is, and then you're gonna come in with this, yeah. So
Well, success in the smoke shop industry is a moving target. That's what I like to call it, because they're always making something else illegal, right? They're always, saying, okay, this ain't good. You guys can't sell this, and then our market is on to the next thing.
yeah,
We're creative people, right? So we're always going to find something else to sell. But by doing this, you're kind of eliminating an affordable option for a lot of people who can't afford the stuff in the dispensaries, right? The dispensary is expensive, guys.
definitely.
But if you want real marijuana that is guaranteed to be a good product, quality product, you kind of want to either buy your stuff from somebody who knows what they're talking about, or a traditional dispensary.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So if you guys have any questions about THC analogs or anything like that, please ask us in the comments. I get a lot of questions about this stuff because it is confusing. It's very confusing. And by arming yourself with just a little bit of knowledge, you can make better choices and pick better products if you're going to use these THC analog products. I do it by just trusting the people that I work with, knowing where they grow from.
Right.
I always insist on source, knowing where the stuff comes from, right?
Which most people don't, which is the problem, right? Yeah, that's something you should.
Ask questions. You should know who's touching your stuff and where it's coming from. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to. Oh, did I not, guys? I forgot to show you my graphic. I'm gonna show you this graphic anyway. Boom. I didn't spend all day on this, but I spent some time, and I want to look at it.
The Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018.
This is what we just discussed. Maybe Akira can magically put this at the front of when I started talking about it, so it makes sense. She said she
could do it. She's a wizard back there.
Awesome, guys. All right, so best practices. Cannabis best practices and products, which, this is what I spend my life doing. Questions, recommendations, people want options. You develop a pretty good body of knowledge after 14 years of doing this. So this is just a little bit, and I'm gonna make this a repeating episode because there are a lot of things like this that are just helpful.
Yeah,
they're just helpful for people to know, because it'll save you time, it'll save you money, and it'll be healthier for you. So, what are we going to start with? Right? What are we going to start with? I want to start with this. What's legal? Buying cannabis seeds.
Oh,
you ever grown a plant?
No, but thought about it a lot, and I know that people think about it, and I've talked about it. They sell on Instagram and whatever else. You see these grow tents that you can buy and stuff. And even back in the day, High Magazine you could buy seeds from them. You know what I mean? They'd be like, oh, White Widow crossed with whatever, and we're like 13 years old talking about, oh shit, White Widow, like seeds.
Genetics were there. You could do all kinds of stuff. And the reason that is, right, cannabis seeds are legal to sell in most states, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is, because if the weed's legal, why are the seeds? With the weeds illegal, why are the seeds legal? I don't have an answer for you on that, but I assume it's because it's pretty hard to track, right? If you're opening the mail, you see a bunch of seeds, you're like, I need to find out what these are, and
Right.
You got to take them somewhere and analyze them. It seems like it would cost a lot of money to check every seed sent in the mail to make sure it wasn't marijuana.
Yeah.
So I think that's why buying seeds is pretty much legal. Now, right now, there is an explosion of these companies selling seeds. Okay, a lot of them are what we call white label, right? Which is a vendor finds somebody that has a line of seeds. They set up a contract with this company, and then they sell their seeds as their own. Okay. In the genetic realm of cannabis, not such a good idea, because it is very easy to get bad seeds that aren't going to fully form. You get a lot of crap, right, by using companies that white label a particular line of genetics.
Okay.
So what you do is make sure that your grower is an older kind of classic grower. There's companies that have been doing this since the 90s. One of the ones I like a lot is called Royal Queen Seeds. All right, they're in the I forget which country in particular, but they're in Europe. They're in Europe, and they have a stock of genetics that is, some of these are close to land races. And we talked about land races last time, guys. This is the original form of genetics that would grow naturally in any particular area of the world,
Right.
called a land race. But they have genetics that have been around since the 80s and 90s, right? So when you're looking for a seed bank like this, people like Royal Queen Seeds, there's a couple in the U.S. That you can buy from, but just do your research. Make sure that this company has a history that you can find out. It's great if you can know the people that are doing this. That's how you find a good company, by knowing the people and knowing their knowledge and knowing where they come from. That's how you make a good decision on how
The
to buy
old-fashioned
seeds.
way. I like it. Yeah.
Growing weed is hard,
I know. Yeah, I've had a lot of misinformation out there. A lot of people have tried it and failed. You know what I
man,
mean?
including me.
It takes months long.
It does. And it takes, if you want to do it well, it takes nutrients that you got to know what you're doing. It takes light that you got to, know what you're
Lighting,
doing.
heating, water schedules. Yeah.
Exactly. It takes a lot. It's not like just getting a plant at Home Depot and watching it grow big. You got to take care of these.
I have a good friend who would grow when we were young, again, just getting into just learning about weed and stuff like that. And people say wild stuff, so he would be like, he's like, yeah, no, once you get some good buds growing off the plant, what you got to do is you pick it and then you flip it upside down. So there's something called flipping it, and that's a thing that they do. It's rotation or what? But he meant you take the buds and you put them in the dirt and have the roots
Bro, that
sticking up out of the
sounds.
ground. I was like, that can't be the way that it's.
I
That's how you get it to be real good shit. Is you got to put the buds under the ground.
Your dude was high.
I know. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, there's no way
That
that's
sounds crazy, and I know that's wrong.
But it's full of like this, just like the weed field. I feel like it's full of like claims and shit like that.
Bury
You know
your
what I mean?
buds.
Yeah. Bury them in the dirt, upside down, roots out. Yeah.
I think that's how you grow a potato.
Exactly.
Right, a very,
Root
very,
vegetable.
very different plant. It's a root vegetable. Wow.
Beets.
But Alex is right. There's a lot of misinformation about growing bud out there. There's a company that is in South Jersey called Green Grow Hydro. They specialize in equipment. I'm gonna post some information about them
Nice.
on the episode somewhere, because you should visit these guys if you are interested in growing stuff. Which it's legal to sell the equipment as well, because it's plants, so they can't like restrict you from buying stuff to grow your own buds. So there are people that are available to you locally in Jersey that can help you cross these bridges, guys. They can tell you what type of seed will grow best in your environment. They can tell you the grow time. They have the nutrients. They have all the equipment you need. So you definitely want to find a local expert before you take this journey, because it's easy to make a mistake. And if you arm yourself with at least a little bit of information, it will definitely make your growth process more successful, because you can waste a lot of money not knowing what you're doing when you're growing, guys. So just educate yourself. Just
Now, what about if you don't mind me asking, the new genetically modified easy seeds and stuff like this? Because I'm fascinated by it personally.
You're talking about autoflowering.
Autoflower. Yeah.
So autoflowers are a specially bred line of cannabis seeds that's generally easier to grow. Right? They are less sensitive to temperature, light schedules, all this stuff. And autoflower simply means that you don't have to change the light schedule before these things start growing.
But don't they advertise that you can just put it in a pot and water, and then you get weed?
Oh
Later?
yeah,
You get a
yeah.
real plant.
There's a company called iGrowCan, which is they work with Royal Queen Seeds. We actually have them in the shop.
Yeah.
They have simplified it as much as they can, so that so that you can do this. I'm going to have
Kira's
Akira
grabbing this one.
just show me something here. This right here is the iGrowCan. Okay, and the iGrowCan comes with a seed, right? But it also comes with the soil you got to grow it in and all of that. So that basically all you need to do is follow the simple directions, put it in some sunlight, and you should get a good plant. Now, by using an auto flower line like these are,
White Widow.
it makes it more likely that you're going to get a good plant. I think these do about an ounce to an ounce and a half. Legal to buy, guys, but you be careful at home with these, because as soon as you start growing this thing, you're in what we like to call a gray area.
Right. It's got to be, because some states is like, oh no, you can't. You can have 2 ounces or 10 plants. It's like, wait, how does that?
Well, Jersey's definitely does not have home grow. I hope there's a friend of mine that has been big in the kind of protesting that we don't have home grow here, because by not having home grow, you miss out on genetic lines that are better than what you can buy in a dispensary. Most grow operations, they choose genetics that grow quickly, right? 2 months, 2.5 months, or something like that. They prefer stuff that is harvestable in a short amount of time. Right. Some genetic lines take longer to grow, and that taking longer to grow can be costly, because instead of replanting the next and getting more weed, you're dealing with this line that takes longer to grow, that takes up space. But that genetic line that takes longer to grow might have properties that are better than the shorter growing stuff.
Better quality, that long-term stuff.
Cannabinoids and all that. So by allowing people to grow at home, they could really get medicine that is specific to their need, instead of having to choose just what's been grown in the legal dispensary. So that is why home grow is important. It is a medical need for people that aren't getting the help they need from the available genetics in our dispensaries,
or can't afford a $75 eighth, however,
or that. Yeah. So guys, support home grow. If it comes up for discussion, or you're at a session of the Congress and they have a public comment period, talk about home grow, because it's important that we get here. I know we will get there, but because it's not really understood why we need home grow, it's slow. But we will get there. We will get there eventually. So, all right. That's enough of seed talk. Which genetics are just my favorite, guys. I love genetics.
Super interesting, and an exploding, advancing field every day.
Ooh, this one's a good one. So fixing a 510 cartridge.
Wow, yes.
Any cartridge.
Thick clog.
Any disposable, guys. I get this question a lot, and it's a problem that most people run into at some point.
Yep. 510 cartridges, again, 510 to the diameter of the thread. Yep. It's like the screw in ones, with the oil and the pen.
These right here.
There we are. Yep.
These right here. These are 510 clog. They clog all the time, and the reason they do that is because once you vaporize, once you've got your oil in your cartridge, and you're vaping it, once you apply the heat to the oil, it vaporizes, but it can very easily be turned back into a solid by introducing it to cold air, right? So if you're hitting it, and you're done your hit, and there's a little bit of vapor kind of still left in the chamber, that turns back into oil and produces the clog. Okay, so there's no real way to fix it. Industry,
to avoid it either. Yeah.
Industry hasn't really figured this out yet. But I do have a few tips that will help you kind of mitigate this so it doesn't happen as often to you. First of all, store these things upright, okay? When you store your cartridge and it's attached to your battery, store it upright, like in a pen, like a pen case or something, or a cup or something like that. If you store it upright, the oil will be able to fall back into the unit
and soak that wick of the, okay. You want it to be at the bottom, ideally.
Yes, because a lot of people, if they store these things in their pocket, the oil goes all over the place. Yes. It might sit in a non-advantageous position. So that's the first step, is always keep your cartridge vertical, so that the oil that does, or the vapor that does turn back to oil, can at least start to fall back into the cartridge. That's one. The second is actually pretty elementary. What I do is I have paper clips. I take paper clips. And when somebody comes in here with a cart, my first thing I grab is a paper clip.
Yes, okay.
I take a lighter, one of my Bics or my clippers, and I'll straighten out that paper clip so it's straight. And then I'll heat the tip of one end of the paper clip. All right. not like fire hot, but once it starts glowing a little bit, it's hot enough.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll slowly take that paper clip and put it through the mouth hole in the 510 cartridge, and the heat obviously will break the clog. Okay, so take a paper clip, extend it, heat one end, put it in the mouthpiece quickly, and when you pull it out, you'll see residue on the paper clip. That was what was blocking it. Okay, so that's pretty much it. It's really simple. So
And you can take that paperclip and push it all the way down, right? Because as I understand, it's like a vertical chamber, and the wick is what soaks, and then that's what you pull up. So you can put something straight through it, I believe. Yeah. A lot of them.
There are a few variations in design, but for the most part, you're right.
Gotcha.
You're right. So that's it, guys. That's simple as that. I'm not a huge fan of 510 cartridges. If you've been watching the show, they don't deliver enough for me.
Yeah.
There are other choices out there and other disposables and other cart companies that make a better device, but this is pretty much in every single state. These cartridges. Another issue that I have with these is the amount of waste that's created. Guys, 20 years from now, it'll be a lot of these in the trash.
We're gonna be up to our asses in unused.
Yes. We are. This industry, unfortunately, creates a lot of just trash.
Yeah.
Whether it's disposable e-cigs or blunt wraps or something, it produces a good amount of just trash. So I'm a big supporter of reusable stuff.
Sustainability in like the marijuana arena is
packaging is another one. Like, have you ever go to the dispensary, you get your eighth and it's in this ornate glass jar?
Right. Glass jars weigh it leads you to believe there's a bunch of weed in there. Yeah, because it's so heavy and nice quality.
It's an eighth, which is 3.5 grams.
Maybe that's why it's $75 for the nice glass.
It costs to package things like that. So if you're here in this industry, let's do some sustainable packaging. The stuff we talked about earlier, hemp plastic, that's a good option.
It's biodegradable.
Yes, there are biodegradable hemp packaging. I mean, it's not a fast. It's not going to go, but it's faster than plastic. It's damn sure faster than glass. So if you guys see companies that are good companies, right, but they're using this method of using hemp plastic, applaud them and support them because they're doing the right thing. And they're not going to, bury us in weed jars one day if we do that. So, all right. So there's another one that I'm another, best practice that I'm pretty big on, and that is Hempwick versus lighters.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now, I had no idea about, why I should be using one or the other when I started. When I started this and I saw Hempwick, I was just like, why would you use...
Yeah, I'm not even really sure what that is.
Exactly. So unless you wouldn't know that this is something you should think about. So the Hempwick on the, what is that, the left? I got to make sure I was looking around. Okay. Yes. Yeah, this Raw makes, I should have made this a little bigger, but Raw makes a product called Hempwick, and it's not just Raw. There are a lot of companies doing this now. And basically what it is a piece of hemp rope that's been dipped in wax. Okay. So it acts a lot like a candle wick. Okay. And what you do is you light your end of the hemp wick and it'll start burning. And what you're supposed to do is use the burning end of this to light whatever you're lighting, right?
Gotcha. Rather than doing the lighter.
Rather than taking your lighter, right?
Okay, I think I see where you're going with. Okay, let's see.
A butane lighter uses butane.
There you go.
Right. So if you're in your pipe and you're lighting it and the butane is on while you're doing it, you are inhaling butane.
Actually, when you tip it upside down like you do for a bowl. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You are inhaling butane, and over a lifetime of smoking, that is a fair amount of something that shouldn't be in your lungs.
Right.
Okay. Once or twice here and there is one thing, but a lifetime of using a Bic lighter and lighting your pipe, it doesn't sound like a good idea. Right. I'd have to look up the effects of long-term butane inhalation, but I'm willing to bet it is not good.
Yeah.
Right. I'm willing to bet it is not the best thing. So, Alex, you should use Hempwick, right?
Okay.
Because it's going to eliminate that chemical you're inhaling. Guys, we inhale enough things as it is in our world.
Seriously. Now you still use a lighter or whatever to light the wick, but you're
Yeah.
not doing that. You're not sparking it. Not inhaling. It's to avoid that butane. Okay, I see.
Yeah, so you light the end, and it slowly burns down. And they sell long things. Like I have a 30-foot roll of this that we sell, and that'll last you like a year.
You can like wear it around like your like a sash and just slowly.
You can make little hemp necklaces that you could burn at the stadium.
True.
Not that I've ever smoked at a stadium. I've smoked every time, but well, I'm not going to some event without my weed.
Get that?
That's crazy. I gotta take it everywhere. But so yeah, hemp versus lighter, guys. Pretty easy topic there. And while we're talking about lighters, let me see if I actually have this graphic. Do I have my clipper? I must not have. Let me see if I can find this real quick, guys.
Oh, the different styles of lighters.
Yeah, well, there's one in particular. I'm just gonna have to use this one. It's slightly whatever, but so excuse the checkered background in this one, guys. But
whoa, checkered, but what the hell? No, but
this brand right here, this is the best lighter.
Okay.
And it says leave it to the Europeans. The Clipper lighter. The Clipper lighter is one of my favorite lighters, guys. It's made in Spain.
Okay.
And it's been made for a while. It's a direct competitor to Bic, which I hate. I hate Bic lighters. You know, I hate Bic lighters. The sparker, the round thing. You get any amount of sticky something on that thing, and it becomes impossible to flick.
Yeah,
it becomes impossible to flick. I've thrown lighters across the room because of this very thing. Now the Clipper this is the Clipper here. Well, it's the case for the Clipper. But the thing about the Clipper is it's got two things that are really cool. The flint is hexagonal.
Okay, yes, okay, got you. Yeah.
So instead of a round flint, it has a hexagon, right? And those flat edges make it much easier to spark it, right? Alex is going to show you one real quick. It makes it much easier to spark. Now, I want you to actually flick it for them, Alex, so they could see it.
That's the Clipper. Here's your thing.
Go ahead and you see that, guys? It is so much easier to use this lighter, even when you've got a little smooch on your finger.
Yeah, a little bit of schmutz.
And it works every time. Second thing, remove the flint from that.
Oh,
Clipper.
Yes. Okay, that's right.
Say you're somewhere and you need a little packing tool. You need a little, there you go. The flint is also removable. All right, so it makes a good on-the-road packing tool. Say you don't have whatever you use to tamp down your cones or whatever. You pop this bad boy out, and you now...
as like a little tweezers?
Yeah.
No. The top.
There it goes. So it's modular, guys. It's modular, really helps.
Functional.
So make Clipper your new choice of lighter because it's going to make your life a little easier. Trust me. And they have, just like Bic, they have all these cool designs and stuff. I have people that collect these Clippers, so take a look at them because it is definitely a good item to have in your smoking repertoire.
Oh yeah.
Now, Alex is struggling to put this thing back together.
That's all right.
That's all right. Don't even worry about it.
And the thing is, too, this is nice and skinny, so it can fit inside the joint, like keys you have sometimes, and it's too wide, or like whatever else you could find.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
Nice.
So, the Clipper, ladies and gentlemen.
Clipper. Yep. Plus, these damn on the guard. The first thing, I always used to pop it off, you know what I mean, back in the day, just because that makes it so much harder. Yeah. If it gets gunk in it, or if your fingers are slippery at all, you're not getting traction on that, you know what I mean? So.
Yep, that is 100% true. So now you guys are a little smarter about lighters, right? Tell that guy with the Bics these suck. Don't tell him that, but
you suck.
Don't
Clippers.
Choose better.
Yeah.
Choose a better lighter, guys.
There are better options.
There are better options. All right, next best practice. We're going to talk about choosing grinders. How to choose a grinder.
Nice topic.
Right? Yeah, there's a lot of choices out there, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of grinder choices out there now, and it's hard to make a good choice because some of these grinders, they look great, aren't necessarily great.
Yes.
Right?
You can get a CNC machine and some steel or whatever or whatever, and make it seem like you got a beautiful
I
egg
think
grinder.
today you can print these in like a CNC machine, like one of these ones that where you load up the design, you tell the machine to print it, and it prints it out. So you got like aluminum grinders, steel
Yeah.
grinders, plastic grinders. They have hemp plastic grinders now. There's all these choices of grinder out there now, and it's hard to decide which one you want to pick. Now, when I was doing this and I was smoking a lot of flower, I would generally use a fucking coffee grinder, right?
Oh, okay. Like
Because
an
it's
electric,
quick.
John.
It's quick, but it'll turn that shit to powder.
Yeah,
right?
powder,
You can
dust.
powderize your weed. So
Which I was like,
it's
about the
convenient.
surface area.
Yeah, it's convenient, but by busting it up and making it that small, you create problems, right? Airflow isn't as good in your joint. You can like clog your pipe or whatever because you're dealing with powdered weed. So don't use a coffee grinder unless you're in a pinch, or if you got a lot of it, use something else, right?
They used to sell one that was like it looked like a flashlight, and you put your weed in the end of it, and it's got a like that. Yeah, a little blender type of John on a stick.
Here is gonna get me one right here to show you. Front row right here.
Oh, I see. Tobacco
Yeah,
top.
that one of those. I'll show you what Alex is talking about
These
now.
are cool.
This isn't necessarily the best, but
Right, because it does powderize the crap out of your weed.
well, not that, and the motor in here is very weak.
Ah,
Right. So the motor is weak. So when I was testing this, and I only bought this because I had some senior citizen customers that couldn't use their hands as much.
sure.
So the reason you use an electric grinder is when you get in a situation like this and you need something where you're not using your hand.
Because that crank in motion, especially if it gets, yeah.
So arthritis, other issues that make the hands sore, it makes it difficult for older folks or somebody having issues with their hands. So that's why these exist. And the thing about it is that motor being so weak in here means it really can't bust through stems. Like if it's stemmy stuff, this motor is not thick enough or powerful enough to get through. So what you have to do to use one of these effectively is you have to pre-break it up.
Gotcha. Because if you just drop a full nug in there, it's probably just gonna.
It'll stop. It'll stop. So by breaking it up first with your hands, removing any large stems, it works much more effectively. Okay, that's the first thing with electric grinders. Now, the cheapest grinder out there is typically a plastic grinder.
This is the first grinder I ever had. Bought it at the Ocean City Surf Mall.
Yep, they're cheap. They're
$8.
They work.
It grinds your weed.
Initially, they work.
Initially, they work.
Initially, they work fine, but it's plastic, so
Don't let it be August when you're breaking up weed either, because the humidity will just but
glue in there.
Yep.
You'll just have glue
but
in
there's
there.
no other change. It's literally just your teeth.
We call that a two-stage grinder, meaning there are two parts to it. There's no what we call keef catch. And I'll show you what a keef catch is in one of my other grinders here.
It's $8. The price hasn't changed over the last 15 years.
So the thing about them is that they generally work pretty good at first.
Yeah.
But because
They do the trick,
they
sure.
do the trick at first, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of resin and just plant matter and stuff that's sticky in bud, right? So eventually that stickiness will get on the rim of your grinder, and then the blades that are meant to do the cutting start to wear pretty quickly. So you want to be careful with your plastic grinder because it ain't gonna last forever.
No.
So it's good for on the road stuff. If you don't want to take your nice grinder wherever you're going, plastic grinders, great. You can pick it up in any smoke shop, and it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. Great backup option, right?
See, I'm a fan of good grinders, so I'm excited for what.
Oh,
we got
good
here.
grinders
I like
are
a good
important,
quality
dude.
grinder, man. Yeah.
Good grinders are important, and then material. What your grinder's material is made of, right? You want something that's heavy, but not so heavy that it makes it hard to use. So this, for instance, this is one of the companies that makes grinders. This is actually Pulsar. It's one of the brands of my distributor. This is a Chinese grinder, right? Most grinders are Chinese, like 95%.
Manufactured little items they usually are.
And this one is made of aluminum, and you can tell that it's been made on one of these machines because you can see the pattern on it. This one has a kitty.
Nice.
Yeah, little kitty. But this is your standard grinder, folks. This is about $30 or so. You'll find a brand similar to this in every smoke shop. A lot of times these are white labeled too,
Right.
meaning that they've bought this grinder from some company in China, and they will print on it. They put the sticker and write their name on it. So this is what we consider white labeling in the
Electric
industry.
bikes and scooters are mostly white labeled as well. I don't know why that's relevant. It's not.
So this will work good for a while, right? This is what we know as a 4-stage, or is it 4-stage? I think it's 3-stage. I gotta look. I gotta get the nomenclature on right. But the reason it would be a 3-stage is because there's 3 chambers, right? You got the top chamber where you put your bud,
Yeah, the
right?
teeth and the grinding.
You got your
Like on the last one.
which
and then you
was
got
just
holes at
2.
the bottom.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And there are holes at the bottom of that first grinder plate. So when you grind it, the bud falls onto the second level, which is where our kind of screen is, right? And then the keef, or the kind of pollen of the plant, is supposed to collect and fall through to the last level, which is where our keef goes. And there's usually grinders come with this little
That
scoop,
little pick tool.
and that helps you to collect the keef and use it where you want. Usually you sprinkle on something, or you can cook with it or something like that.
And a screen is like essential if you want to get good amounts of keef. You know what I mean? The one that I have is just starting to gum up now because it's like the hot times. But through the winter, it was producing so much. You look down, you got a whole bunch of keef. You're like, ooh, okay.
And and it's party time because there's more THC in this part of the plant.
Oh yeah.
Now the screen is very important. Not all of these screens are created equal. It's very important that the screen is of a design that will let this stuff fall through, right? The sign of a cheap grinder is a cheap screen. This one here, kind of mid-grade. It's not the best screen, right? But it will filter a little bit. And the thing about collecting keef is the bigger the circumference of your grinder, the more keef you're going to get, because there's more surface area for the keef to fall through.
Gotcha.
So
rather than it being all piled up in a long one, it's like spread
in
over
a skinny grinder, like one that'd be like half as large. The screen's also half as small and half as large. I mean, and it won't collect as much keef because there's just not enough surface area. So if something is very important, if you want to collect a lot of keef, you need a grinder that's larger. And I'll show you what I mean. There's a company called SLX I'm very fond of.
Nice. See this
Right
thing.
here.
Look at this, baby.
Here's Big Boy.
Size of a hockey puck.
It is literally called the BFG 88, which to me means Big Fucking Grinder 88, right? This thing is dope. And this particular brand has a ceramic coating on it, right? And that ceramic coating makes it last a little longer because it's not as the oils won't attach to it as much because the surface is nonstick. So this grinder can also be clean. Like if you do have some buildup, you can actually use hemp seed oil to kind of loosen this thing up.
Because you always get it stuck all up in the corners. Eventually, it won't let you turn it.
Right, and what he's talking about, guys, is this rim right here. Right, this rim right here, you get a lot of oils from the plant, and eventually it will slow any grinder down. Right, so if you want to clean this, use hemp seed oil around this rim, and it will come off. Okay, and this particular one has a grind pattern where these little blades are look like little trapezoids. And by using this slightly different design, there are more blades, right? There are more places where the bud can get cut. So it's a very efficient grinder.
There you go.
And then it has another key part that I like. This screen is removable, right? So if you don't want to collect keef, and just you want to smoke whatever is ground, you can remove this.
And then screw it all back
and
together.
then screw it all back together, and now you have just a flat surface there.
And that ceramic coated flat surface, I imagine, is pretty nice.
It is. It is. The non-stickiness really helps. Now, these can chip, right? That's the one downside of these, that coating can chip, so you want to be careful with these. But there's a lot of new entrants to the grinder market that they're trying to, change the status quo, because we've had these grinders, they've looked like this since the beginning. So there's a lot of ingenuity coming into the grinder space where we're going to get cool grinders. So best practice, find a grinder that it's coated in something that's durable, right? Whether that's a matte coating or a ceramic coating, you want to make sure that your grinder is made out of material that is A, strong, B, doesn't chip or make microchips so that you have little bits of metal in your bud. So you want a high quality metal, high quality coating. Larger is better if you're trying to collect keef, and hemp seed oil is a good way to clean a grinder. Those are basically my tips. Also, if you can, buy U.S. made grinders. The standards are a little higher in the United States. These things are super mass produced in other countries, and they're not necessarily making sure that their grinder is safe over the long term. So there are companies in the U.S. That do this well and have been doing this. There's a company called Space Case that's great.
Oh yeah.
There's a company called Cali Crusher that is really great. Um, I'm trying to think of any other ones. SLX, the grinder I just showed you. So just be careful. And if you want, you can always ask me. But I have all grinders from cheap Chinese to top of the line stuff. You need something for everybody, guys. So that is my grinder talk, and I'm sticking to it.
Nice.
So let's see how much time we got here. It's 11 o'clock, guys. Where does the time go? All right, so let's pick something really quick here. I might do two. Let's see what we get done here. Storage options. Okay. Now, storing cannabis is important, guys, because there are certain factors that can degrade the potency of your bud, right? So you want to make a choice that's going to help you extend the life of your bud, right? So large amounts of weed that you're storing for more than, say, a couple weeks, you want to vacuum seal it, right? You want to store it in some place that's cool but dry. So a lot of people will freeze it, right? That's not a bad storage option, but you got to make sure that the moisture is not at a high level, because if you freeze it while there's a good bit of moisture in it, that can create problems. So you want to.
So if it's real sticky or wet still, you got it. Okay, yeah, freezing it's gonna make.
You want it to be in a dry area, right? You also want it to be in an area with low light, right? Because if it's in a glass jar, for example, something like this, and it is sitting on your shelf in sunlight, you can absolutely degrade the THC and other cannabinoids in your weed. So something like this, only good for short term. So the best place to store this would be in a dark place, like a cabin or something like
same
that.
as ibuprofen, a cool, dark, dry place.
It works as a lot the same with just regular meds, right? You want to keep it in a cool but dry place. So guys, there are so many storage options out there these days.
I've seen silicone ones.
There really are. There really are.
But vacuum is nice, like the vacuum of it. Yeah. And plus, it doesn't smell outside of the thing.
Yes. Two very good points. If you can find a grinder that a storage option that removes as much air as it can, good place to start. There's a brand called TightVac, which is what this is. And when you seal the TightVac, it tries to remove a good bit of the air that's inside of it, because that air that gets trapped in there can degrade your stuff, right? So you want to remove as much of the air as you can with something like a TightVac. There are tons of brands out there that do this, but make sure that whatever you're using, you have an ability to remove some of the air. Unlike the Sevolt. Okay, this is another brand I sell. Now, originally, guys, I know this might look familiar. I think this is how they make kimchi. They used to make kimchi in these things. They used to make, they still do.
Yeah.
But it's also good for storing bud. But because there's no option to remove the air, you need another way to kind of keep it fresh. And what they use in these are these humidity packs. Okay, there's actually a little slot in the lid of this. I'll show you.
That thing is heavy duty.
Yeah, no, it's heavy duty. But you see this slot in the top that you can slide a Boveda pack into, like so. All right.
Okay.
And depending on which of these you use, you can either add moisture or remove moisture.
Oh.
All right. So by using one that, for instance, has a lower humidity point, you would remove moisture. If you used a higher one, you would add moisture into it.
Gotcha.
So you can actually manipulate how dry or how much moisture is in any particular bud by using the right kind of package. So no sunlight, right? And if you can, one of these humidity packs will help keep it at the right humidity level. Both very important. Now, smell, right? I don't know if you've ever used a cheap Ziploc bag to store weed.
Yes.
That shit does not work to keep the smell isolated. That smell is everywhere. So you always want to make sure that you use a heavy storage bag. Right. There's one brand called Smelly Proof that I sell in the shop that's pretty good at this, and it's basically, it looks like a Ziploc bag, but it's thick.
Oh,
It's thick and it's heavy, and it generally will keep the scent in the bag.
and that one in particular, 5 pounds.
Yeah, and this one, as you can see, I think this is probably a pounder bag.
Mm.
Don't tell me what you're doing, because if you're buying bags this big, buddy, you are not a small timer. But it is a good way to kind of keep the odor locked in if you're dealing with large amounts. When you have that much bud, you obviously want to make sure that you are keeping it in its best form. So don't store it anywhere where it could degrade. Now that you know how that happens, always choose the best storage option. Same thing with odor. If you're in a place where you don't want odor escaping, you need to make the choice in materials and products that will help you do that, right? So I'm always a good place to ask questions about storage. Not that I am doing that anymore, but it is a good investment to make for the long-term health of your weed, guys. So storage is important. And we will do one last little thing here, because I think we got enough time to do it here. Oh yeah, this is what I wanted to do, and here they are. Excuse the graphics, guys. This is a downstem. Okay, now these are very important for any water pipe. And knowing the sizes of these when you go into any particular smoke shop is important, because they're going to ask you, what size is your downstem? How long is it? Across the top where it says distance measured, that's how you measure a downstem. Actually, myself, I actually measured from the bottom of the ground joint, which is that frosted area at the top. I measure from the bottom of the frosted area to the end, and that's when somebody comes in, they say, I want a 5-inch downstem. That's how I tell them to measure, so that when they come in, they know exactly how long it is. Because if they don't, it's a guess. I guess what it is, and if they have to come back if it's not the right one. Right. The ground joint here is a specific size. This particular one on the outside is an 18 millimeter ground joint on the outside. Inside is a 14 millimeter, and I'll tell you what I mean. This here, the 14 millimeter male accessory at the top, that size goes into a 14 female, which on the outside is an 18 millimeter male, right?
Oh, if you're doing multiples there, okay, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So by using it by measuring this way, there's a standard. You got 14 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 14 millimeter, 18 millimeter. If you know this size before you go in, you know what size your pipe is, you can make it a lot easier on yourself, right? So there are only 3, guys, and when you're doing it as long as I have, you can tell by eye what size each one is. But this is information that will make your trip to the smoke shop a little easier. So this particular downstem is known as a low pro downstem, because it's an 18 on the outside but a 14 on the inside, and by making it a low pro, it can be shorter, right? Because if it would be longer if you didn't have this on there. So anyway, I think that's it, guys. I've talked you to death today.
Some good practices, though. Some good information. I like that. I mean, questions that a lot questions that
it is.
Really ever get the answer to.
Yeah, and I'm gonna try and break these up into little graphics or little, short things for you guys, so you have, quick information. Because this is helpful stuff. These questions I answer every single day, and this is what I do. So I share my knowledge.
That's what we do here.
Guys, thank you for joining us for our 7th episode. If you've made it this far to the episode again, you are our people.
Yes.
You are our people. We thank everybody that spends time doing this, because this is a love of labor. Neither Alex or I get paid for this, right. Because, we're just trying to share.
Yeah, and it's a great fun and good practice and all of that. Like, we have good times doing this. So like the people.
No, our relationship here, we have good banter now. I think
we're getting much better. If you go back and watch the first one, I'm like I don't know what to do with my hands or my eyes or where I'm like
very Ricky Bobby like. very Ricky Bobby like. But no, I'm proud of both of us because we've come a long way in just a few months. And
Absolutely.
I don't know if you've been looking, but Akira has been doing a wonderful job with our production guys. So
Hell yes.
we will see you in a couple weeks. Once again, I have no idea what next episode is going to be like, but I will decide that in the next few days,
But
and
it'll be cool.
I will
It'll be
post.
fun.
I hope it's cool. I will post a little preview for you guys. So we love you. Have a good rest of your week. We'll see you in a few. Peace.
Peace.